Hi, Julie.
Hi, Amanda.
Welcome to my Net of Love podcast. Thank you for being our very first episode here. How are you?
I'm excited. I'm doing well. It's Love's Beginning meets Net of Love. I
It's
love
all
it.
it's all the love you could ever ask for, right?
That's right.
So beautiful. So I just wanted to start by telling our viewers a little bit about Net of Love if they're not familiar with it yet. And my goal with Net of Love was really to spread and share knowledge about Ascension and rising into love through love, and really with building supportive networks for people to do that. So for those who are on our private Facebook group, they've already seen that we're starting to share services from other people in the area. And I think this is becoming more and more important because a lot of them are not obvious to everybody or always seen. So the more we can do that and create that network of love, I think it's going to be best for everybody supporting their ascension journey. So I think you know this, you may not know all the pieces of this. These are hats I wear, sort of. I am is something totally different than just the hats I wear, but
Right.
some of the things that I do on my daily basis: Reiki master practitioner, a spiritual life coach, and a metaphysical minister. But on my business card, it actually says Ascension Guide, and the reason I did that was because for me, it's more about guiding and supporting the ascension for the humanity as the earth is also ascending, and it really is more about guiding the energy that's flowing through me to support others with that, and helping to understand some of the ancient knowledge that's kind of been only in mystery schools, as they say, that's much more prevalent now and in conversation now, which is really, really exciting. So if you could take a minute and just introduce yourself and talk about what you do.
I accept myself. I didn't think I would say that. I'm being shown lately how much everything in the world is a reflection of what I have going on here. So when you ask me what I do, I accept myself and forgive myself for what I thought I did and what I actually never did. So that goes into some deep metaphysics. But through my website, Love's Beginning, lovesbeginning.com, I share messages about awakening, and they're channeled, I guess I would say. But when I first started hearing from what I would call my light friends, who are my primary source of the messages, they always told me, our voice will become your voice. And so I feel like it's more like that. But they didn't tell me at the time was, our voice will become everybody's voice. And this is how it's starting to be for me now. Their voice is everywhere. So yeah, I share the joy of hearing and experiencing and enjoying that.
I have to agree with you because I feel that way with me too. And that if people are wondering what that voice is, it's that voice of divine love. For me, that's how I've been able to come to explain it with some support from others. That voice of pure divine love that comes through, and I feel the energy in my body when it does, and it just shifts me, and it's calming and it's blissful, and I'm carrying it a lot of the time now. Are you carrying it a lot of the time too?
Yeah, and I would say I'm coming from a long fight to carry it a lot of the time.
Me
I feel
too.
like a warrior coming out of battle, you know?
Yes.
And the effortless carrying of it, and therefore being able to receive it from all others, that's coming online. Yeah, more and more and more, and it's very happy making.
I agree. It's been like a birthing.
Yeah.
It's been in the womb for a while, working the best way it can work. And now it's finally emerging. And holding it. And I see, and that's one of the reasons I asked you specifically to be one of the first people on this podcast, is because even when I met you a couple of years ago, I felt that resonance of love with you right away. And it makes sense that both of our kind of businesses have love.
Of
um,
course.
yeah, exactly. Julie, let's go back to awakening. That word is used so often in the spiritual community. What does it mean to you?
It means getting my head out of my ass. I have to be very earthy and grounded with it because I think my nature is floaty and ungrounded. So therefore, in particular areas, I have to stay very grounded. So awakening's getting my head out of my ass, understanding what's real and what isn't real, and stopping making such a big deal out of what has never been real, which is pretty much everything we see on the surface of everything.
Yeah. And having that discernment, like you talk about your head being in your ass, knowing that your head is in your ass.
Right.
And I got to pull it out.
Right. No shame, no blame. No shame, no blame. And you do it 1,000 or 1,000,000 times a day. And therefore you don't elevate yourself above anyone you would see as other, because we're all here with our heads up our asses, pulling them out, stuffing them in, pulling them out. That's where we are. But we're in a time where it's getting a lot easier to keep them out. So
yeah, and it's trial and error, right?
Yeah.
I have to laugh because I received an image last week of a little baby boy I'm laughing because of course, and his bare butt was coming out, but he's a baby, and his head was like stuck in one of those like, it always reminds me of like a dunk booth or like one of those head things that you put in at the fair, and you could only see his bottom coming out and you couldn't see his head. So it keeps, that message that I got keeps coming in so many different ways. So it's perfect that you just said that.
There we go.
There we go. Let's get into Ascension a little bit. So let me first say I love your descriptions, because when I asked, what you do, you said I'm accepting and forgiving. And people always hear me say the words that flow after I am are who you believe you are, and then who you become. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Mm-hmm. And I accept and I forgive. So how does that fit into what your version of Ascension means?
Let's see, that's a good question. So Ascension, I think of, upliftment, lifting up with everybody. So I'm looking at this visual of Ascension. And if we're pretending we're all just going to start floating up ethereally and feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. In this ascension process, some of us seem to go intentionally back down to the ground and kind of jump down and bend our knees and grab a couple of hands and float back up again and jump down and float, grab a couple knees or hands, whatever you can grab, feet, and float back up again. And we're all doing this together. And sometimes it looks like one of us is the one that's coming back down to grab others. But when we're all on the way up, you don't know who's leading. We're all floating up together. You don't know who's leading. I guess that's the most important thing for me about Ascension right now. I'm not leading. It's equal, and it's with everybody, and it's all of us or none of us. And it's a process that's not planned by me, thank goodness. I can just follow the plan. And where forgiveness and acceptance enter in is that I have to be most effective in my function, I have to accept bottom line equality with all beings all the time. And in order to have equality with all beings all the time, I can't be beneath any and I can't be above any. That's where the forgiveness comes in.
Side by side.
Yeah, because if I think, we often look at forgiveness and think forgiveness is, you did something wrong, but I'll still love you. I'll try to forget about it. But forgiveness actually is We've all been batshit crazy. And I'm willing to come back into sanity. And I'm willing to see that the illusion was never real. I forgive the illusion. I let the illusion go away. And I see you as you always have been. And that means I can see myself as I always have been. Eternally innocent. Eternally innocent you, eternally innocent me. And if I'm in forgiveness and acceptance, which means sanity, that's sanity, then I can carry out my role.
Right. And the opposite is when we're trying to control and not trust the universe and grasp and have our heads again in that place we don't want them. And I love your description. And what I've come to over these last couple of years is that everyone has a shadow and everyone has their light aspects as well. And when we can hold ourselves in our own wholeness of shadow and light, embrace it, not judge it, it's what makes us human, then we can better hold other people in their wholeness as well. And for so long, people felt so much shame from their shadow. And when they would go into shadow and feel those states of grief or anger or feeling left out or rejected, it became, why am I here again? And we've had this big shift of embracing it and looking at it and trying to, we can use those alchemical terms of transmutate it instead of judging ourselves so harshly for going into it when we all have it. Why can't we all be vulnerable and be open to it and have conversations about it and see it? And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I forgive you. I love you. I have that in me too.
Yeah.
And that's a big shift for the planet. And a lot of people are starting to do it, which is exciting.
Yeah. What's exciting for me is, maybe this won't be exciting. I don't know. This was exciting for me. Super bad guys, ones who look like super bad guys. I was shown this today. I don't know what the time frame is, but we're going to logically see that it is insane to punish bodies. Because no one's the body.
Yeah.
So if you think of the baddest bad one you could think of, and you think there's a need to punish that body to make it pay, it's just my desire to make myself pay, to punish myself, to keep enacting physical death over and over and over again. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And we're eventually going to realize this and be like, holy crap. Our entire system of justice has been based on punishing bodies, thereby asking for a repeated experience of punishment for ourselves over and over and over again. What have we been doing? Punishing ourselves.
Right. And we ostracize. We ostracize and we separate them from society when a lot of the reason they may be there was because of the love and the nurturing they may not have had that they needed. And that creates trauma. And then there's no supporting it. I mean, there is supporting it. And I think in those situations, but I was watching something recently about nonconformists, right? And it's this game in this system. And if you don't conform to the game in the system and you stand out, then you're judged and you're shunned and you're ostracized. But when you think about it, those people are the ones that are responsible for the evolution of most any society, the ones that were thinking outside the box and wanted to do it different. I mean, it's different when we're harming and we're hurting and those types of things. But I worked in the school system and I've seen kids at the age of 3 in trauma, seeing them then again at 18 when they were in jail. I've seen them put in handcuffs in front of me. And what do people need more than anything? Love. And one relationship, one positive relationship can completely change a person's life. And you're right. So instead of us abandoning, rejecting, the more we include, the more we do these side-by-side community and circle, the more I think we're going to have this profound healing occur. And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it happen.
Yeah, it's not a gonna, it's dawning. I get to the point where I can't articulate And that's always a good point for me. When I'm speechless because my modality has been churning out so many words, I think, oh, this is just fantastic. This is good. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're seeing it happen in front of us. And the more, they say if like, 1,000 people meditate on the same thing, it can change the whole planet. Well, the more we awaken to our loving power of consciousness and what it does to create our realities, it's game changer. It's such a game changer.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to ask you, you talked about accept and forgive. I was going to say, what brings you to long periods of joy? But I think you're sitting in long periods of joy at this point, right? We talked about that a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah. I think the more I'm in the joy, the more I recognize the blips, that which is not joy.
I call them blips,
the more hideous the blips feel. So I can't claim to be in joy for even an hour at a time, because we become so sensitive, I think, that we know that's not it. That's here's, so I feel like every day is like the fine-tooth comb through, this is what you're going to let go of next. The reason I'm so happy is I know the way out of hell, because I've sat in the hole. I used to call it the hole, like the dark night of the soul, and you go in and out of these major and mini cycles of healing, right? Mm-hmm. Weeping. I remember the worst day, I was like kneeling on my kitchen floor, doing the ugly cry, all those. Because of all of those times, I know it's temporary, and I know it's very healing. And so, is it constant, unending joy? No, there are blips. And my job is to notice the blips, be ever vigilant for the blips, and allow the blips to be cleansed.
And hold yourself with love through the blips, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge piece of it. I'm not falling to the ground. It's just a little blip. Everything's okay. It's gonna be all right, right? I totally agree with you. And I think that's the most beautiful part about Ascension, because I don't know if you're familiar with David Hawkins' work, and if people Google it, they can kind of see the little chart I refer to a lot with my clients.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, it's coming out of those states of apathy, shame, guilt, fear, and spending more time in the joy, peace, love, to the more enlightened states. And the more we've done the work in those lower states, the more we've learned how to switch our neural pathways, so we're not going down the same roads anymore that took us back down there. And I like to call them fear timelines. And they're timelines of the lower aspect, like the descended aspect, not the ascended aspect. And when we've gone down these timelines, and like you said, you're crying on the kitchen floor, in your mind what took you to follow that trail that got you on the kitchen floor crying for like 3 hours, for example. And we become more mindfully able to then say, okay, shift the mindset in the moment. I'm not going down that timeline again. I'm going to choose the higher timeline this time. And
unnecessary. Yeah.
And like Alice in Wonderland down the rabbit hole, like I'm not going down that rabbit hole anymore. I'm a sovereign creator. I don't want to create that for myself. Why would I choose that for myself? Why would I think that way about myself or other people?
Right.
And then we become sovereign, and then we become responsible for our ascension. And then the blips become oh wow, I didn't do that this time again. Yay me.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then you feel proud of yourself. And it's a huge accomplishment. It's a huge feat to be able to mindfully see the thought that took you down there and shift it to the positive.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful.
And knowing the thoughts, being able to hear the thoughts.
And everybody has different ones. Everybody struggles. Yeah. Everybody struggles with different pieces. So when we can start to see that, we become masters of our mind.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome.
The word that's really been coming through for me, well, it's just beginning to come through for me, is dominion. When it first started to be spoken through me, I barely gotten into it, but I realized, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to articulate.
I can't wait to hear your articulation.
All of us have dominion over everything.
Yeah.
And the only dominion that's going to prevail is not any of this fake power dominion, like the scary things we think could take over, even environmental damage. That's like a fake power dominion, the dominion of destruction. That seems to be because of wrongdoing of humans. That's another storyline we have going with Earth as victim. Boy, that's a big one.
A timeline, right? We can choose that one. We don't have
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we all collectively have dominion, and it only can be this true dominion, not fake power that we want to see played out in a fantasy, but the true dominion can only be played out harmonically. And that's what Ascension is. It's like we all start fitting into our piece in the puzzle and carrying out, each one of us, our special job, our special role, our special function. And all together, that piece is dominion.
This is so beautiful because I was meditating before we did this, and I was being shown that we each like have our own song. We have our own beautiful soul essence song, and that's each of the puzzle pieces of humanity, right? And when we start singing in love and kind of purge all the aspects of how we might not be good enough or worthy enough, and we're living our joy, that's where we come into harmony.
Yeah.
I'm hearing, what was it, the troll song? Harmony, 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 harmony. You have kids, you know this. And right, and like in the character Branch in Trolls, right? Like he's covered in darkness in the beginning. You got Poppy, who's so happy. And eventually they come into harmony because they're supporting each other in their ascension. And that's the cool part about the network and the circle, because the more we come together with our others, the more we're coming into harmony. And there's
these messages are everywhere.
Yeah, so many groups right now doing meditations together and doing work together, that they're coming into harmony in the higher planes. And what a difference it's making. It's just phenomenal. Dominion. I really like that, because it's like, and you're calling it dominion, and I use the word sovereign a lot. And it's I have my own universe in my bubble, but everybody else does too. So they can create their realities, each in the bubbles, but all together, we're also voting for what the collective bubble is going to look like. Yeah. And we're finally starting to vote for love, I think.
Yeah, I think so. We can hold our heads out of our asses for nearly 2 minutes at a time now.
Exactly. And the whole, back to the awakening conversation, is that when people start having a spiritual awakening, all they want to do is talk and teach about love, just like we do. And you start to come in harmony with it all. It's really beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
What else is there to do?
I know, right? What else is there to do other than love? Because I always say that's the only truth there really is. The rest is just distortion. It's just a veil. Our divine birthright.
That's right.
Yes. Really quick, let's finish it up with this question. Let's see where this goes, because it's funny, we're pulling in a lot of the same things we're getting in the higher planes too, which is always fun. What self-talk do you use when you're having a blip?
I very consistently use the lesson of the day from A Course in Miracles. So today,
can you really quick first talk about the Course in Miracles for anybody that doesn't know it?
If you are hyper-conceptual, if you think a lot, if you have a racing mind, then maybe A Course in Miracles is your path, because it is so complex and long and dense that it has an answer for every complex thought the ego could ever suggest. It's like a magnet that will adhere to any thought from the ego, whoop, and just disperse it. But I think there are so many paths. And I think A Course in Miracles might be for the squirrels among us who are like, everything's in everybody's mind or a certain subset. I don't know. I just know
rainbow.
We find our thing, right? We find our thing. I think today's lesson is something like, now let a new perception come to me. And all the lessons are the same lesson. One of the lessons is, I do not know what anything is for. And it's an iambic pentameter. I used to be an English teacher.
Yes, so I know exactly what that is, because I was a principal.
Right. So I like that part of it, you know. But there are so many pathways. We all stumble onto ours. And it gives us whatever life raft we need for those blips. For like, I've lost my mind again. Help me. And whatever it is, for some people, it's just taking a breath or having the intention to reset.
And I got to tell you, Julie, lately, when I'm in those blips and I'm like, I don't understand this, help me. And I'm like, sometimes yelling to the universe, or I'm just like, you know, help me. What is this? Why is this happening? Show me why this is happening. And I got to tell you, within an hour, something is in my path that shows me. So all we have to do sometimes is just ask. Like, that's how powerful we are. Just ask. And our little bubble universe works to support us when we understand that it does.
I was telling my son today, I was telling him, make demands.
Yes.
Be as bratty as you want to be. Not that we should even use that word, but I was trying to get this idea across, like, be very demanding. Don't demand anything from any person ever, but demand everything of the universe. Say, show me, make it obvious. I'm responsible for my state of mind, but you're responsible for putting everything in my path and showing me and making it obvious to me and carrying me through it. So do it now. Yell at the universe, get angry. Doesn't matter. The universe can take all of it.
That has been my spiritual joy over the years, because it's when I yell out, or I need something, or I need help with something, or I want to know more about this, and then the book flies off the shelf, or it's the next thing in the Facebook feed, or somebody posts something about it. It's the answers are always there. We're just asking and looking for them.
Yeah. It's so simple.
Yeah.
And we start to realize how worthy we are. Like, oh, the answers keep coming to me in a helpful form. I must be worthy of being helped, like all the time, all day long.
And love.
Yeah.
I'm loved so unconditionally. I can yell at the universe, and I'm supported and helped. Yeah.
It'll take everything. It doesn't care. And I needed to say universe with him, but with somebody else, I would say something else.
Right. The vocabulary. Absolutely. And I love the moms like you and others in the leading the way with this ascension, having gone through a lot of these things and understanding the vocabulary and the knowledge. I'm so excited about what this generation of children is teaching us. And they are beyond brilliant. And it's so fun, isn't it? So fun.
Yeah. Because without them, I mean, I can't even imagine. They've been my biggest and greatest teachers, and they still are. So
Me too.
Thank goodness. Not that you need kids, though, because there's a way for everybody. If you don't have them, you weren't supposed to. So when I asked why I had twins, I got told, you are remedial.
What does that mean to you?
I'm in the slow group, and I needed extra teachers, so I got them.
Extra teachers in what, Julie?
Everything.
I don't think you're remedial, by the way, just saying, not even a little bit. You are a very advanced soul. You're a very advanced soul who's been around the block many times, my dear.
It just makes me laugh every time I hear it, and it floods me with gratitude. Like, thank goodness then. Thank goodness we get whatever we need.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all through relationship. That's the greatest teacher that we have is our relationships. They show us our greatest shadow, our greatest fears, our greatest feelings of our traumas where we were rejected. And if we can shift it from they're hurting me, they hate me, they're nasty, they're mean to what is this showing me about me? And then holding the love and forgiveness as much as we can, because the rest is just distortion, really.
That's one of the biggest pieces is do make it about you.
Yeah.
People say don't be self-obsessed. I think I say the opposite. Do make it about you because it always is about you. And that's the only way you can, not taking it personally, using it for your own healing. It's always reflecting you back to you, whatever the experience is.
And that's the service to others.
Yeah.
That's your service to others by being the greatest human you can be to support others by being whole within yourself. Yeah. And then you're not spewing all your garbage out into every relationship you have because you've taken sovereign responsibility for your own stuff. Yeah. Really beautiful. All right, Julie, if anybody has any specific questions on anything you asked, is it okay if they send you a message?
Yeah, of course. You could friend me on Facebook.
Awesome.
Just Julie Borst, or Love's Beginning is on Facebook. It's on at lovesbeginning.com. So whatever works.
Awesome. I know we will absolutely do this again. Thank you so much for spending time with me tonight. I appreciate it.
Fun.
It was. We should just do weekly Zoom meetings because we have such fun together.
I'm sure it'd be easy. We'd always have something to say.
Always.
Or we go into silence. Imagine that.
Yeah, we can meditate and just talk telepathically on higher planes, right? We probably do it in dream time anyway.
Right.
All right, Julie, I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.
Have a good day or night whenever you're all able to watch this. We'll talk to you soon.